is I think it's a little bit better, or at least I'm figuring out how to do it. Something fell out.
I sort of want and then I'll get this.
Where do you sing?
And we'll put it together.
Mostly here, a couple of church things, some professional stuff in the city, but I actually work mostly as a professional bass player. So the classical singing has very little to do with the bass playing, but just both music.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks brown. It looks brown. You have the purple on the outside.
Singing waxes and
Is
wanes.
it purple on the outside?
With the little stones on the
About
outside.
10 years
Oh,
I've been
now I'm
The
seeing.
inside is
an easier road to hoe.
So then it's smoky.
You know, I can't always keep all the people's in there.
Oh,
It's unfortunate. I was out of town on a tour.
yeah.
Travel.
Oh, smart.
This wore me out.
No, you didn't.
I play a lot of Broadway shows. That's mostly
Oh,
just
yeah.
Ed and I have known each other since we were teenagers. So
Love our friends. That's sapphire. And then gold. Yeah.
right.
And then gold. Spacer. Because they're good.
My son was
earrings,
right
right?
now, but
They're not. They're not.
ones where I had this million chairs I had.
There's an
The
out.
psychologist, the producers, Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd said for his live
we're getting it.
Federation musicians.
Yeah.
I was on an equity contract. Two shows I did where I was on stage. But this whole kind of actor musician thing has been the past 10 or 15 years has been a big thing. And the show that I did, Sweeney Todd, was kind of the first show on Broadway that had that. Since then, people said, "Oh, this is cool. Let's try it." So they're going to know what we call it. It had always historically been that you'd have a show where there's a country trio on stage, and the leader will say, "Hey, look over there." But he's not really being an actor musician, he just happens to be the dance on stage. Nobody's seen on stage or an actor performance. But it's really always called principles. But now there are shows where people do exactly like the job. Yeah, yes, they do. I think when I did Sweeney, we were the band, and there were 10 actors on stage.
Yeah, and I could say,
So
Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. I'm loud enough, you think? Okay.
Well, because you guys are now sitting together, I know I can see my baritone part, and also that was the part of my voice that was working to the better. So, seems to be a norm. Good? Looking big, Charlie. You're very slightly altered state. Just make sure everything's space, anything else in there. It's just a pleasure. It's about the last 15 years or so.
They make you so happy, I'm sure. Good. Welcome, everyone. We are so happy to have you all here with us today. As we take our seats, I just have a few short announcements. My name is Michelle W. Malkin. I'm the Executive Director here at Temple Ner Tamid, for those of you who are joining us for the first time. We have our restrooms located across from our kitchen over here, and we have all gender accessible restrooms located in our office and downstairs as well. We have wonderful custodians here with us today, Danny and Glenn, and I believe Gwen as well. And they have name tags on, so if you need anything at all, please let them know. If you have food in your car that needs to be unloaded, just let us know at the end of the service, and we can help you with that as well. In the unlikely event of an emergency, behind me are 3 emergency exit doors, as well as 2 here at the end of the room. We would proceed through the parking lot to the back corner onto the Montclair Golf Course. Just please be mindful of the people around you. We have a CPR, first aid, and defibrillator located in our office if anyone needs. I wanted to thank our lead usher, Carrie Chavat, and our head of security, Eric Berlin, for all they do for us during these holidays. And if you need anything, please don't hesitate to ask us. And thank you so much for your time. Shana Tova, enjoy your experience. And our service will begin momentarily, so enjoy.
Each year we have a certain theme that we tend to explore on the High Holy Days. And this year, the theme that we've chosen deals with the fact that when God calls Moses up to be on Sinai with Moses, God says, go up to the mountain, Vayihi Sham, and be there. Now, according to our tradition, the Torah never wastes words. So if the Torah is going to say, go up to the mountain, it doesn't need to say, and be there. So the Kutzker Rebbe, who was writing a few hundred years ago, decided that it must have some special meaning. And he said, why did God say, be there to Moses when he told Moses to go up to the mountain? It's because you can be somewhere and not truly be there. Sometimes you can be somewhere else. On the High Holy Days, you often can be somewhere else. You might be worrying about what else is going on around you on a random Wednesday when you're not at work or at school. You might at the same time be thinking to yourself, what exactly am I doing here? Or what do these prayers mean? Or I'm so hungry. The key is going to be to find moments where you can really, Vayihi Sham, be there. Vayihi Po, be here. And when you're able to do that, if you're able to zero in on the themes of the holidays, the feelings of the holidays, the emotions of the holidays, what it means to feel like you are forgiven, what it means to ask for forgiveness, what it means to praise God, what it means to connect with your tradition and your community, what it means to internalize the music that you are hearing, at that point, you will have fulfilled that mandate that God gave to Moses. You will be here, fully present, and you will get the most out of this Yom Kippur. And so we'll begin with the song that we'll be beginning services with throughout the high holidays. Alei Elai, come up to the mountain, says God, and be there. We turn to page 158 as we join together in the words, Elohai nishama shenat hatabi, God, the soul that you have given me is pure. You breathed it into me.
Elohai
Nishama shenat hatabi te'orahi.
Tehorahi Elohai
Nishama shenat hatabi te'orahi.
Elohai Elohai
Tatabi
Shenatatabi
Elohai Tatabi
Teorahi Elohai
Tatabi
Tatabi אתה נפחת בי אתה
Elohai
ואתה
neshama
נשמה רבי קרבי
shenatata
ואתה
Elohai neshama shenatata bi teorai Elohai neshama shenatata bi
ברוך אתה אדוני אשר בידו נפש כל חי ורוח כל בשרי.
We continue on page 160 with a series of prayers that thank God for the miracles of daily life.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם. Your great power gave the mind discernment to distinguish light from darkness.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power opens the eyes that cannot see.
Amen. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם. Your great power brings freedom to the captive.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power lifts up the fallen.
Amen. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם. Your great power spreads the land upon the waters.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power has made all that I need.
Amen. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם. Your great power gives firmness to our steps.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power clothes the naked.
Amen. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם. Your great power gives strength to the weary.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from my eyelids.
Amen. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם. Your great power made me in the image of God.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power endowed me with human freedom.
Amen. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם. Your great power has made me ישראל.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power gives strength to Yisrael.
Amen. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם. Your great power crowns Israel with glory.
Amen. Page 164.
ברוך שאמר והיה העולם.
Baruch Hu.
ברוך עושה בראשית.
Baruch Omer ve'oseh.
ברוך גוזר ומקיים.
Baruch merachem al ha'aretz.
ברוך מרחם על הבריות.
Baruch mishalem sachar tov le'reah.
ברוך הילד וקיים לנצח.
Baruch podeh umatzil. Baruch shemo.
שמו בשבחות ובזמרות נגד לך ונשבחך ונפארך ונזכיר שמך ונמליכך מלכנו אלוהינו יחיד חי העולמים מלך משובח ומפרדי הר שמו הגדול ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מהולל בתשבחות.
Page 170.
Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. El Bikosho. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's hear you.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
We're on the facing page, page 171.
If our mouths were filled with song as the sea, our tongues with music like the crash of ocean waves, our lips with praise endless as sky above, our eyes aglow like sun and moon, our arms reaching toward heaven like eagle's wings, our legs as graceful as the gazelle in flight, still our words of thanks to you would not suffice, Adonai our God and God of all ages, nor could we bless your name enough for your infinite acts of kindness to our ancestors and to us.
Page 172.
All together in the center of the page. From Egypt you redeemed us, Adonai our God, and from a world of slavery you saved us. In times of hunger you fed us. In times of plenty you nourished us. You turned our blight to blessing, spared us from suffering, and rescued us from the sword. Your mercy supports us, and your love abides, now as in the past. Never forsake us, Adonai our God. Never turn away.
הגיבור לנצח והנורא בנורותיך. המלך יושב על כיסא רום ונישא שוכן עד מרום וקדוש שמו וכתוב רננו צדיקים באדוני ישרים נאווה תהילה בפי שרים תתהלל תתרומם ובדברי צדיקים תתברך ובישון חסידים תתקדש ובקרב קדושים תתהלל ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור.
Our sovereign God, source of holiness and greatness, may your name be praised forever in this world and beyond. Eternal One, God of our mothers and our fathers, your strength, sanctity, glory, and dominion are deserving of song, praise, poetry, hymn, sacred chant, and blessings of thankfulness for all time and eternity.
ברוך אתה אדוני אל מלך גדול בתשבחות אל הדעות אדון הנפלאות הבוחר בשירי זמרה מלכי חיי העולמים.
As we turn to page 176, if you're able, I'll invite you to rise, knowing that throughout the course of this day, be kind to your body. Many of us are fasting, and if you need to sit, please make sure to do so. Page 176.
יתגדל ויתקדש שם רבה לעולמה דיברה חילותי וימליך מלכותי בחי נכון וביום נכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן יהי יסדר ויתעלה ויתעלל שמד קודשה לעילה ולעילה בכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בהולמה ואימרו.
Page 176, we turn toward Jerusalem.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, whose power fills the cosmos, who opens for us the gates of compassion and lights up the eyes of those who await forgiveness. Shaper of light, source of the darkness, maker of peace, creator of all. Infinite light is preserved in life's treasure house. Lights from the darkness, said God, and it was so. In love, you bring light to the earth and its creatures. Your goodness renews the creation each day. Infinite, varied, and rich are your works, divine artist. All of them wrought with wisdom. The whole earth is teeming with life. Awestruck by the universe, work of your hands, let all life bless you, praise you, and celebrate the beauty of your lights.
אור חדש, אור חדש, אור חדש על ציון תאיר. Try it with us.
Or Chadash,
אור חדש, אור חדש על ציון תאיר. ונזכה, ונזכה כולנו, ונזכה, ונזכה כולנו, ונזכה, ונזכה כולנו, מאורו לאורו. Join us. ונזכה, ונזכה כולנו, ונזכה, ונזכה כולנו, ונזכה, ונזכה כולנו, מאורו לאורו.
May you shine a new light on Zion, and may we soon be privileged to share in that light. Our praise to you, Adonai, creator of the cosmic lights.
ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות.
page 185.
Together in the center of the page, you are the one who unites all things, who links life to life in a sacred chain. The forests anchored in the soil breathe air into our lungs. Our faces are reflected in the creatures of earth. We carry the sea within us. Our fate is connected to rivers and deserts, our family a many-branched tree of life. All beings intertwine in you. All are encompassed in Adonai Echad. Thus no man is an island. No soul exists apart. To say Echad is to know this truth, to see the world whole, humankind undivided. Precious and holy are these words we speak. Adonai Echad, we proclaim you one.
ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר עמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו
Once again, aloud. Baruch Shem Kivon Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
191. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We read responsively on page 195. And they shall know that I, Adonai, am their God, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, that I might abide among them, I, Adonai, their God. Together.
You took us out of the darkness so that your light might dwell among us.
You showed us your power to bring down the powerful, uplift the enslaved, transform the social order. We carry the Exodus vision wherever we go, lest we forget our sense of liberation, lest we lose the joy of breathing free, lest we grow indifferent and blind to others' pain.
So long as we work to make you present, we walk the path of freedom. But if we forget to bring you into this world, then we return to darkness.
Page 196.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני,
מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא.
שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחוד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו
Once again, if you're able, I'll invite you to rise.
Sur Israel, kom av Israel, Israel, ufideichinu mecha, Yehuda ve'Israel. Go'aleinu, Adonai tziva'ot shemo, keosh Israel, Baruch ata Adonai, Gol Israel. Adonai sefatay tiftach ufi yagid teilatecha.
Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufia gitehilatecha.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka הושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הדר. מחי כחיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סוביך נופלים רופא חולים, ומתי אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך על גבורות ומי דומה לה, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים. ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים.
We turn to page 208, and I'll invite you to be seated. In a moment, we're going to hear one of the more haunting melodies and prayers in our tradition, Unatana Tokef, which speaks about our insignificance in front of God, God judging us, deciding who shall live and who shall die. I spoke specifically about this prayer last night in my sermon, because it is one of the more theologically problematic prayers in our prayer book. But as I spoke about then, the goal is to understand the metaphors that are being used and to see prayer not as doctrine, but as poetry. Part of the reason, by the way, that our prayer book, when it lays itself out, decides to lay out lines the way it does instead of a block text, is because there is a distinct difference when you read philosophy than when you read poetry. Poetry is supposed to evoke emotion. Philosophy is supposed to tell you truths. And thus, as you hear this prayer, allow it to be a catalyst for feeling, an opening for emotion. Because that sense of yirah, that sense of awe, wonder, and fear in the face of the greatness of God or the universe or the cosmos or whatever you call it, that itself is the essential feeling of these high holy days. Page 208. כי אתה הוא דיין ומוכיח ויודע אבעד וחותם וסופר ומונה ותזכו כל הנשכחות ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות ותפתח את ספר
Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love. Your reign is a reign of truth. In truth, you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal. You record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other. Join me on page 210. And so a great shofar will cry, Tekiah. A still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, Behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes, even they are not blameless. And who will come into the world pass before you, like sheep before the shepherd. As a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff, you count and consider every life. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgments.
Page 212.
Rosh Hashanah yikateinu, u'biyom tzom Kippur yechateinu. 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 Mi yashkit u'mi to'af, mi shalev u'mi mi ari u'mi yashir, mi yushpal u'mi yarum.
Please join me on page 213 responsively. An empty page, an open book, a day of ultimate questions.
I still be here next year at this time with the ones I love beside me.
What is in store for my family, and what will become of my friends?
Who will have reason to celebrate? Who will contend with grief?
New love, new babies, marriages deepening and breaking apart, prosperity, struggle, reversals of fortune, illness, and health await us.
Who will be missing when we gather next? Who will stand apart? Who will be estranged? And who will have joined us, enriching our community?
On the edge of the unknown we tremble. What lies ahead for us all?
An empty book, an open book. Nothing is written and nothing is sealed.
Flesh and blood, frail creatures, our lives are fleeting and subject to chance.
Yet this we possess, the strength to persist, to prevail, to comfort one another in the dark.
Prayer, right action, a turning toward the good. These give us hope and help us bear the pain of life. We who are mortal, our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread, like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, a dream that flies away. But for you, ever-living sovereign, time has no limits. Your presence, unabounded by days and years, is everywhere, a glorious mystery none can decipher. Your name is worthy of you, and you are worthy of your name, and our name you have linked with yours.
We rise together, page 218.
Nikadesh, Nikadesh, Nikadesh et shimecha ba'olam, Nikadesh et shimecha ba'olam, kishem shemakdishim oto bishmei marom. ככתוב היד נביאיך, ויקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonai, Adonenu, Madir, נדיר שמך בכל הארץ. אדוננו אדוני אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו, והוא ישמיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו. לעיני כל חי אני אדוני אלוהיכם. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגידו לך.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגידו לך. ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושך, קדושך, נקדיש. ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושך, קדושך, נקדיש.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגידו לך. לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגידו לך. ושכח אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם, לעולם ועד. ושכח אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם, לעולם ועד. כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה.
And as we've done each of our services of the High Holy Days, as we get to the section that begins with the words uvachein and therefore, and explores many of the kind of central themes of the holidays as well, things like asking God to give us fear, or to give us honor, or to give us righteousness, we join together in that word uvachein and therefore, continuing it on as I'll read underneath. That's the only word. Let's hear you. And so, in your holiness, give all creation the gift of awe. Turn our fear to reverence. Let us be witness of wonder, perceiving all nature as a prayer come alive. We bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We yearn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with wholeness of heart. Awe-inspiring is your creation, all-encompassing your transcendent name. And so, in your holiness, give your people the gift of honor. Bless with praise those who praise you. Bless with hope those who seek you. Give your believers a basis for faith, true happiness for the land of Israel, true joy in Jerusalem. May the sparks of David, your servant, soon grow bright enough for us to see. A beam of light in the darkness, a promise of perfection. So in your holiness, give the righteous the gift of a vision bright with joy. A world where evil has no voice, and the rule of benevolence fades like wisps of smoke. Good people everywhere will celebrate the stunning sight of arrogance gone from the earth. Ooh, let's hear you. Uvechein. 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 Page 228. You and you alone, Adonai, will reign over creation, upon Mount Zion, home of your presence, and in Jerusalem, a city set apart by you as the psalmist believed. The eternal shall reign for all time, your God for all generations, Zion. Hallelujah. Continue privately through page 250, and when you're done, you can be seated.
prayer for gratitude.
מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך, מודים, מודים אנחנו לך. מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך, מודים, מודים אנחנו לך. שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו, רק אישנו, אתה נעד לך ומספר תהילתך. אי חיינו המסורה בידיך, ויד משמותינו הפקודות לך. מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך, מודים, מודים אנחנו לך. מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך, מודים, מודים אנחנו לך. ועל ניסיך שבחוליון עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת, ערב ובוקר וצהריים. הטוב כאילו חרחריך, והמרחם כאילו תם חסדיך, מעולם, מעולם קיווינו לך. We join together. מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך, מודים, מודים אנחנו לך. One more time. מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך, מודים, מודים אנחנו לך.
As is the custom at our congregation on the High Holy Days, we bless one another at this time. And so I'll invite everyone to take their prayer books and leave them on their seats and rise together. As together, if you want to join hands with the person next to you, we offer a threefold blessing, the oldest blessing in our tradition, the priestly benediction. Yivarechecha V'yishmerecha Yehi ratzon Ya'er Adonai Panav Elecha Vidhunecha Yehi ratzon Isa Adonai Panav Elecha V'yasem Lecha We remain standing and turn to page 252 for Avinu Malkeinu. Together, Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the books of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew us for a year of good. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, let our eyes behold the dawn of redemption. Avinu Malkeinu, we pray, do not turn us away from you with nothing. Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it.
Avinu Malkeinu, aseimuanu leman shemecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, asei leman chaim lu lemanenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake, if not for ours.
Avinu Malkeinu, ilanu melech ata.
Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu, pitach sharei shamayim litfilatenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer.
Avinu Malkeinu, shema koreinu, chus v'rachem aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice, treat us with tender compassion.
Avinu Malkeinu, chaneinu v'aneinu, kin banu masi, aseimanu tzedaka v'chesed v'hoshienu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, chaneinu v'aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, chaneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asi. Asei imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Asei imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, chaneinu v'aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, chaneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asi. Please be seated. It's my pleasure to call up to the Bim'ah Joan Gary to say a few words.
Shana Tova. My first visit to a synagogue was in 1983. Thanks to my then partner and now wife, she thought I might like it. The congregation was in Park Slope, and it was called Congregation Beth Elohim. It happened to be where Rabbi Mark Katz worked for years before we snagged him for our very own. Mark Katz was not there in 1983. Actually, literally, he was not there. He was born in 1984. So, I was born into a Catholic family, raised Catholic. Long ago, Eileen dubbed me a biological shiksa. For decades, I was taught by nuns, which always kind of rings to me like raised by wolves. Crucifix in every classroom, every single one. So last year, after 30 years of practice, at the age of 60, I decided to come out as a Jew. And so on July 1st of last year, I became a card-carrying Jew with my rabbi, Rabbi Mark Katz, as a member of my Beit Din. All in all, a pretty good first day at the office for our brand new rabbi. You see, Judaism had me at hello. What we are, as Jews, are called to do is how I try to live my life. Why wouldn't you choose to do good works? Because that's what good people are meant to do. Why did I have to do them or else? Or else suffer consequences or not get a key to St. Peter's pearly gates? Or why would you memorize the answers to questions that really don't have answers when you can sit with your wonderful, interesting people and debate the questions while someone made sure you were well fed? Hello. Had me at hello. So Kenny Cohen asked me to speak this morning, and since that request, I've actually been asking a lot of questions, like a good Jew. So for years, as a member of Temple Ner Tamid, I've listened to these remarks from wonderful congregants and wonder why they happen here, now, on Yom Kippur, pulling us from our deep introspection and repentance, from how big this ritual feels, and from the magic that is Cantor Meredith's voice. I think I've figured out that this is exactly where these comments belong. During the month of Elul, we study Parsha Shoftim, the story of the roots of our judicial system. We read, quote, "You shall appoint magistrates and judges for your tribes, and they shall govern the people with due justice, mishpat tzedek. You shall not judge unfairly. You shall show no partiality. You shall not take bribes." Oh, the irony of this in the context of today's world should not be lost on a single one of us. But the portion continues with justice, justice, you shall pursue. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, that you may thrive and occupy the land that the Lord your God has given you. Tzedek, the root of the word tzedakah. And this is why I believe my remarks belong here as part of this sacred ceremony. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we recite, on Rosh Hashanah it is inscribed, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed. The prayer continues, we know it well, and then it stops, and as we read on page 214, but through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. Teshuvah, tefillah, tzedekah. I would argue that it's more than charity, helping those less fortunate, tzedakah. It's really about the root word, tzedek, righteousness, justice, doing what is right. And the work of repairing the world, well, it is work we are called upon to do together, just like our prayers and repentance here on Yom Kippur. Consider that our core confession, vidui, is all recited in the plural, injecting a kind of peer accountability and also offering us a kind of communal strength. So too with tzedek. During these days of awe, we ask ourselves, how do we want to live our lives? How will we commit to ensuring that our lives have meaning and purpose? So that the sound of the shofar this evening isn't the end of something, but the beginning. We have throughout these days been building the strength and fortitude to be strong enough to be fired up and ready to go, to be the best we can be, to live in a year where justice, justice, we shall pursue. Last night, Kenny Cohen talked a lot about the justice we have pursued this last year at Temple Ner Tamid. And oh, the places we'll go. And if I am sure of anything, I am sure of the strength and fortitude we will need for this very pursuit when tomorrow comes. For me, perhaps what is most frightening in the world we live in right now is a terrifying lack of leadership. Who do we look up to? Who acts beyond self-interest? Who brings us hope? I see it as our job, collectively, to fill this void. We have to look for, cultivate, appreciate, and support leaders. And it just may be time to take a look in the mirror and create a definition of leadership that includes you. Building a just world is business you can't leave to anyone else. It begins in a home, a neighborhood, a congregation, like Temple Ner Tamid. The experiences we have had here at Ner Tamid have shaped our family in profound ways. I watched my wife, a daughter of not one, but 2 Holocaust survivors, struggle through the adult B'nai Mitzvah class and begin to live with the complexity of her relationship to Judaism in a way that actually works for her. I listened to our daughter call from Israel, sobbing these deep, deep sobs, embracing her Jewish identity and grappling with the beauty and the pain of the Jewish experience. I got all choked up as my son, standing on the bima when he became bar mitzvah, grab his shoulder and show everyone in that congregation the cufflinks that belonged to his grandfather, Ben Opatut. I watched my mother-in-law walk out of this synagogue in the middle of our eldest daughter's bat mitzvah as soon as I hit the bima. And as I mourned the death of my brother just a few years ago, Cantor Meredith came to visit me to pay a Shiva call. I admitted to her that I actually had never memorized the mourner's Kaddish, and so she asked for my phone, pulled up voice memo, and recorded the prayer in her oh-so-sweet voice. I listened to her voice every single day, long after I had the prayer down cold. I often feel like we overuse the word community, because what are we actually saying? Here's what I think. When I consider our family's Jewish journey, I feel the power of all of you with us. Just like when the congregation rises to support mourners during Kaddish, we say that together. And what is so moving about it is that we do it together. I know we are there for each other. I really feel it. And that's community. Our community at Ner Tamid is coming to life in a new way. There is an energy, a vision, and a chemistry that our rabbi and our cantor have that is palpable and unmistakable. I think Rabbi Stephen Kushner might actually appreciate this baseball metaphor. Rabbi Mark Katz is a serious contender for Rabbi Rookie of the Year. This new journey is exciting, but it's important. The commitment we are making to diversity and discourse is teaching us all how to live in a polarized world, how to engage with those with whom we disagree, how to find common ground with our neighbors here and around the world. You see what we're doing here at TNT? We are helping each one of us exercise the muscles needed to repair a broken and broken-hearted world. Eileen and I have chosen to lead by funding this journey. And this morning I am inviting you to join us, to invest in this journey, this sacred work. I do this not only with conviction, but with joy. I ask you this morning to consider a pledge to our annual fund. I could tell you that membership dues keep the lights on and that the annual fund will fuel the vision we have for the future of our congregation. But that's really not entirely true. Membership dues only keep our lights flickering. They do not cover all of our operating expenses. And so a gift to the annual fund will ensure that our lights will shine bright and they will fuel our new journey. Kenny, myself, and others will follow up in the days and weeks ahead, and I want you to hear it as an invitation we extend with joy. Imagine for a moment if we all gave something so that our rabbi and our cantor can continue this new adventure where no one is forgotten, where we nurture our ability to debate, we embrace diversity in all its forms, feed our curiosity, and really and truly connect with the person on our left and the one on our right. If we can learn to do this here in our sacred and special place, then we will have what it really will take to lead when we step outside. Years ago, someone shared a metaphor with me, and it stayed with me. Perhaps you'll find it useful as you continue through the rest of this day. And perhaps it will help ignite you as the sound of the shofar surrounds us at sundown. Some people see the work of the just as pulling those less fortunate over this line into the land of the fortunate, from their side of the line to yours. But I believe that Jews are here on this earth to repair it. And in that context, perhaps our real work is actually about erasing the line altogether. It's not work any of us can do alone. It's not work we can do without resources, and we can't rely on anyone else to do it for us. We must do it together. We must pray together, repent together, and leave here at sundown ready to get to work, to repair the world, to erase the line. Shana Tova.
We're going to move into Seder Kriyat HaTorah, into the reading of our Torah on page 254, and I'll invite us all to rise. Let the reading of Torah be like a prayer, a meditation to remind us of what we strive for, a chant that binds us to the chain of generations. Let the reading of Torah be like a prayer, a moment of purest solidarity with our people's hopes and history, an invitation to affirm or dissent, to challenge or believe, to ask why or say amen. Let the reading of Torah be like a prayer flowing like waters that renew the spirit, refreshing and sweet to nourish the soul. Let the reading of Torah be like a prayer, every word a blessing, every verse a conversation with God.
Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, v'ein kemasecha, malichutecha malichut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch leolam va'en. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Avarachamim eitziva v'rtzonecha et Zion. Tivnei Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoneinu, Kadosh v'noro Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoneinu, Kadosh v'norah Shemo.
Gadlu l'Adonai iti, unerromima Shemo yochdav. Lecha Adonai hagidula, ve'agivura, ve'atiferet, ve'anetzach, ve'ha'od. Ki kol bashamayim u'ba'aretz, ki kol bashamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai הממלכה, והמתנשא לכל ראש. ידה 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 one more time. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד העומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. One more time. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. Andy, we need you. על שלושה, let Andy come back to the bima. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. Oh, so much Torah, so much time. Now לשבת, you may be seated.
One of the things that our High Holy Days do is they bring into focus often experiences that we've had in the past year. And there's a tradition to recite a prayer called Birkat HaGomel, which thanks God for moving past a life-threatening situation In our tradition, there were lots of different circumstances that would be considered life-threatening. Any kind of surgery where you might be under anesthesia, maybe a sickness that you've gotten better from, maybe a journey that was a little scary for you, whether by sea or by land, whether giving birth. And so I want to invite anyone for whom they feel like this year they survived some life-threatening ordeal. I'll invite you to rise as together we turn to page 261, and I'll lead you in the words of Birkat HaGomel. And then when we're done, where it says, for both, I'll invite us all as a congregation to join in response to their reading. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, HaGomel lechayavim tovot, shigmalani kol tov. And we all say together, Amen. Mi shigmalchem kol tov, hu yigmalchem kol tov, Selah. Please be seated.
And so, we can't just say those words. We have to internalize them. When you go from unwell to well, when you transition back into being able-bodied, able-souled, whatever it is that was your path this past year, there's nothing like singing it into gratitude. So we're going to start with that magic word again, Selah. Selah means kind of whatever you want it to mean, but it definitely means open your heart. Rick Abrams, I'm telling you it does. So we're going to sing that way beginning. Selah, Selah. Let's sing together. Selah, Selah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives us all the good things. May you be with us now and grant us goodness forever. May you be with us and grant us goodness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech HaGomel lechayavim tovot asher malani tov tov. You can amen my bracha too.
Amen.
That's right. Here we go. Who gives us all good things. May you be with us now and grant us goodness forever. May you be with us and grant us goodness. Amen. And now, even though you already chanted them before, you can chant them again. I'm at the second to the bottom row. Mi shegemalchem kol tov, hu yigemalchem kol tov, Selah. May the source of goodness bring you goodness, not just today, but all the time. So we chant it together. Mi shegemalchem kol tov, hu yigemalchem kol tov, mi shegemalchem kol tov, hu yigemalchem kol tov. We sing Selah, Selah.
And so as we move into our Torah reading, I'll invite us all to turn to page 266, and I want to call up our Gabbai for today, Robert Rich.
Ya'amod Rishon Menachem Mendel ben Yetzel, Yafa ben Shmuel Leib Fagel, Mitch Dinerstein, and Julie Blackman. Ta'amod Balat Hakriya Ariella Bat Shlomo Arlene Kraus.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Bocha Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem Roshechem Shivtechem Zichnechem Vishotrachem Kol Ish Yisroel Tavchem Neshechem V'geiracha Asher bakerav machanecha mechotei beitzecha ad shoev mimecha liavracha bivrit Adonai Elohecha uvalato Asher Adonai Elohecha koretimcha hayom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan v'chenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yamud Sheni Chaim ben Batzalel, Esther bat Zipporah Yehuda, Nina and Richard Tucker. Ta'amod Balat Kriya Alea Razel bat Laser, Lisa Korn.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Leman hakimotcha hayom lo le'am vehu yilecha le'elohim ka'asher diber lach ve'ka'asher nishba le'avotecha le'Avraham le'Yitzhak u'le'Yaakov ve'lo yitchem levadchem Anochi koret et habrit hazot ve'et halah hazot ki et asher ishno asher einenu po imanu hayom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu et Torat emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yamod Shlishi Nisan ben Yitzchak v'Devora Malka bat Aharon v'Basha Norman and Vicky Pollock. Ta'amod balat hakriya Itka Malka bat Baruch v'Baracha Edith Novak.
Baruchu et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamevarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'haya chiyavo alecha kol hadvarim ha'ele habracha v'haklala asher natati lifanecha v'hashevota el levavecha b'chol hagoyim asher hidichacha Adonai Elohecha shama v'shavta ad Adonai Elohecha v'shamata v'kolo kecho asher anochi mitzavacha hayom ata uvanecha b'chol levavacha v'chol nafshecha v'shav Adonai Elohecha et shavutecha v'richamecha v'shav v'kibetzecha mikol ha'amim asher hefitzecha Adonai Elohecha shama im yihye nidachacha b'ktzei hashamayim misham yikabetzecha Adonai Elohecha umisham yikachecha v'heviacha Adonai Elohecha el haaretz asher yashu avotecha v'rishta v'heitivecha v'hirbecha me'avotecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nota b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yamod Ri Raphael ben Pinchas Folea Basha bat Shmuel v'Chana Richard and Beth Klein Yamod Bal HaKriya Mordechai ben Yechiel v'Devora Morty Bernstein.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bocha bonu mikol ha'amim v'notan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
kol Adonai Elohecha et levavecha ve'et levav zarecha li'ahava et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha למען חייך ונתן אדוני אלוהיך את כל העלות האלה על אויביך ועל שונאיך אשר רדפוך ואתה תשוב ושמעת בקול אדוני ועשית את כל מצוותיו אשר אנוכי מצווך היום והותירך אדוני אלוהיך בכל מעשה ידיך בפרי בטנך ובפרי בהמתך ובפרי אדמתך לטובה כי ישוב אדוני לסוס עליך לטוב כאשר שש על אבותיך כי תשמע בקול אדוני אלוהיך לשמור מצוותיו וחוקותיו הכתובה בספר התורה הזה כי תשוב אל אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam notah b'sachenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yamod Chamishi Reuven Zipporah Bat Chana Vizev Rick Schwartz Fran Hecker. Yamod Bal HaKriya Reuven Ben Yaakov Rob Rosenberg.
Baruch
atah Adonai, Baruch Adonai, Baruch et Adonai Hamabarak, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bakar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Amen. Ki hamitzvah hazot asher anochi mitzavcha hayom lo niflet hi mimcha v'lo rechoka hi lo vashamayim hi lemor mi ya'ale lanu hashamayma v'yikacheha lanu v'yashmienu ota v'na'asena ולא מעבר לים היא לאמור מי יעבר לנו אל עבר הים ויקחיה לנו וישמיענו אותה ונעשנה כי קרוב אליך הדבר מאוד בפיך ובלבבך לעשותו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah tamet v'chayei olam natan b'tohenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yehuda ben Benjamin Kent Roth Yahamod Bal HaKriya Abraham Gadol ben Aharon Simcha v'Zipporah Rachel.
Baruchu es Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bachar bono mikol ha'amim. V'nosan lanu es Torah. Baruch Atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ra'eh נתתי לפניך היום את החיים ואת הטוב, את המוות ואת הרע, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום, לעבור אדוני אלוהיך, ללכת ברכה ולשמור מצוותיו וחוקותיו ומשפטיו. חיית ורבית וברכך אדוני אלוהיך בארץ אשר אתה ושמה לרשתה. ואם יפנה לבבך ולא תשמע וניחת והשתחווית לאלוהים אחרים עברתם, והגרתי לכם היום כי אבות תעבדון, לא תאריכון ימים על האדמה אשר אתה עובר את הירדן לבוא שמה לרשתו. העידותי לכם היום את השמיים ואת הארץ, החיים והמוות נתתי לפניך, והברכה והקללה, וחרת בחיים, למען תהיה אתה וזרעך, לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך, לשמוע בקולו ולדבקבו, כי הוא יהיך ואורך ימיך, לשבת על הרמה אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיך לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב, לתת להם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher nosan lanu Torah emes, v'chai olam nata b'sochenu. Baruch atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
So while our Sefer Torah is still out, we're going to bring close into our hearts, although probably not very far, if you yourself or someone that you love and is dear to you is struggling, is in need of healing. It's really, they're just a breath away usually. And so we turn together, page 271. מי שברך אבותינו ואימותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב שרה רבקה רחל ולאה הוא יברך ירפא את החולים. May the one who brought blessings to our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to our mothers Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah bring the blessing of health to all those who are ill. We pray that the Holy One, blessed source of life and healing, sustain and strengthen them with compassion and restore them, if possible, to full health without delay. For all who struggle against illness, let renewal of spirit and renewal of body come soon, as together we say, Amen. And in the middle of this, our beautiful melody, we are going to offer names right to you, either aloud or to closer in your heart, as we sing the beautiful words of the Mishaberach L'Cholim on page 273 at the bottom. Mishaberach Avotenu Mikol HaBaracha Eitzot Matzara. So I'd like to invite up Eric and Andrea Berlin for Hagba and Glila. We ask once again for those who are able to please rise, and if not, to rise up on the inside. We stand before the tree of life, source of our strength, our comfort, our challenge, our call to holiness. We stand before the tree of life, our Torah, ancient yet ever renewed. Its message is for all people. Its words speak to all generations. Its truths endure and give hope. Like those who came before us, we carry the Torah in our midst and hold it close. For those who will come after, we preserve and cherish its teachings. This is the Torah, our gift, our blessing, our responsibility. In reverence and gratitude, we stand, all of us, this day before the tree of life.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. ישמחו השמיים השמיים, ישמחו השמיים השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, יתגל הארץ. יירם הים, יירם הים, יירם הים ומלואו. יירם הים, יירם הים, יירם הים. One more time on ya.
That was the fastest Hagba and Glila known to. I don't know how we did that. Nala Shevet. Without food, too. And so, perfectly on call, I invite up for our Haftarah Miriam Chilton and Joel Doro. They're going to, of course, begin and end the reading from today's book from Yeshaya, from Isaiah, with the brachot, which you can follow along if you choose on page 278, and then continuing in the following pages with the Haftarah for today. This to you. Definitely want you to be close. So, are you brachot?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'neviim tovim v'ratzah v'divrechem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Havocher b'Torah u'Moshe avto u'Yisrael amo
uvinve et ha'amet v'tzedek.
Cry from the depth, says God. Do not hold back. Lift up your voice like the shofar. Tell my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sin. Yes, they seek me daily as though eager to learn my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not abandoned God's law. They ask of me the right way, eager for God's nearness. They say, why do we fast and you do not see it? We afflict ourselves and we do not know it. Because even on your fast day, you think only of desire while oppressing all who work for you. Because your fasting is filled with strife and with callous fists you strike. No, your fasting this day will not lift up your voice before heaven. Is this the fast I desire? A day to afflict body and soul, bowing your head like a reed, covering yourself with sackcloth and ashes? Do you call this a fast, a day worthy of the favor of Adonai? Is not this the fast I desire? To break the bonds of injustice and remove the heavy yoke, to let the oppressed go free and release all those enslaved? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and to take the homeless poor into your home, and never to neglect your own flesh and blood? Then shall your light burst forth like the dawn, and your wound shall quickly heal, your righteous one leading the way before you, the presence of Adonai guarding you from behind. Then when you call, Adonai will answer, and when you cry, will respond. I am here, Hineni. If you remove the chains of oppression, the menacing hand, the malicious word, if you offer your compassion to the hungry and satisfy the suffering, then shall your light shine through the darkness, and your night become bright as noon. Adonai will guide you always, slake your thirst in parched places, give strength to your bones. You shall be a well-watered garden, an unfailing spring. From you they will rebuild ancient ruins, lay foundations for ages to come, and you shall be called the one who mends the breach and brings back the streets for dwelling. If you cease to trample Shabbat, stop pursuing your affairs on my holy day, if you call Shabbat a delight, the holy day of Adonai honored, and if you honor God by not doing business or speaking of everyday matters, then shall you take pure delight in Adonai. I will lift up your journey on earth to the highest of places and nourish you from the heritage of your father Jacob. For thus spoke Adonai.
Baruch Adonai, Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh, hamdaber umkayem, shekol devarav emet b'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al havodah, ve'al hanvim, ve'al yom ha'kippurim hazeh, shenatatan lanu Adonai Eloheinu lemihila velislicha ulpara, lechavod ultifaret, al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, umvarchim otak, yitbarach shimcha, befi kol chai tamid leolam vaed, udvar haemet vekal yam lad. Baruch atah Adonai, melech hakol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael, veyom hazikaron.
We transition now as we recite a prayer for our country and a prayer for Israel, and we turn together to page 286. I'll invite us to rise.
God of holiness, we hear your message. Justice, justice you shall pursue. God of freedom, we hear your charge. Proclaim liberty throughout the land. Inspire us through your teachings and commandments to love and uphold our precious democracy. Let every citizen take responsibility for the rights and freedoms we cherish. Let each of us be an advocate for justice, an activist for liberty, a defender of dignity, and let us champion the values that make our nation a haven for the persecuted, a beacon of hope among the nations. May our actions reflect compassion for all people within our borders and abroad. May our leaders and officials embody the vision of our founders to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, provide for the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We pray for courage and conscience as we aim to support our country's highest values and aspirations, the hard-won rights that define us as a people, the responsibilities that they entail. We pray for all who serve our country with selfless devotion in peace and in war, from fields of battle to clinics and classrooms, from government to the grassroots, all those whose noble deeds and sacrifice benefit our nation and our world. We are grateful for the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that our founders ascribed to you, our Creator. We pray for their wisdom and moral strength, that we may be guardians of these rights for ourselves and for the sake of all people, now and forever.
Avinu, Avinu, שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו. Join me. Avinu, Avinu, שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו.
Prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu, you who are above, you who are high above all nation states and peoples, Rock of Israel, the one who has saved us and preserved us in life, bless the state of Israel, first flowering of our redemption. Be her loving shield, a shelter of lasting peace. Guide her leaders and advisors by your light of truth. Instruct them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who build and protect our holy land. Deliver them from evil, deliver them from danger, crown their efforts with success, grant peace to the land, lasting joy to all of her people. And together we say, Amen.
Precious teaching I have given you, my Torah, do not forsake it. A tree of life to those who hold it fast, all who embrace it know happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Take us back, Adonai. Let us come back to you. Renew in our time the days of old.
Hashivenu, Adonai, Eilecha, Vina, Shuva, Vina, Shuva, Chodesh, Chodesh, Yamenu, Chodesh, Chodesh, Yamenu,
Please be seated. We turn to page 293. Page 292.
We pray responsively. We stand in humility, conscious of our failings. Shema Kolenu, Adonai, hear our call.
True sacrifice to God is a penitent spirit. You treasure a crushed and repentant heart.
For you are close to the brokenhearted, and you give strength to a suffering soul.
You are the healer of shattered hearts. You are the one who binds up their wounds.
For thus says the high and exalted one, who lives forever, whose name is holy.
I dwelt in a high and holy place, but also with the downcast and lonely.
To bring new life to despondent souls, to restore and revive repentant hearts.
Return now, Israel, to Adonai your God, for you have fallen because of your sin.
Take words with you and return to God. Ask the Eternal, forgive what is wrong, accept what is good.
We stand in humility, conscious of our failings. We set before you the wrongs we have done.
We trust in your compassion, for you know who we are. Shema Kolenu, Adonai, hear our call.
Page 294.
ברחמים וברצון את תפילותינו. השיבנו אדוני אליך, השיבנו אליך ונשובה. Kodesh Yameinu, Yameinu, Kekadem.
We turn to page 296 and we rise together.
תבוא לפניך תפילתנו ואל תתעלה מתחינתנו אנחנו עזי פנים וכשיעורב לומר לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו אבל אנחנו חטאנו
Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Tafanu sheker, na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na.
Ya'atznuha,
Yatsura,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
La'atznu,
La'atznu,
Maradnu,
Maradnu,
Ni'atznu,
Ni'atznu,
Saranu,
Saranu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Pashanu,
Pashanu,
Taranu,
Saranu,
Kishinu Oref,
Kishinu Oref, na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na.
Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tainu,
Titanu.
Tizanu.
Together we read, of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely, we are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander. We devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey. We abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes. We are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral. We kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray.
Page 300.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך באונס וברצון, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים.
Altogether, the ways we have wronged you under duress and by choice, and the harm we have caused in your world, consciously or unconsciously.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בבלי דעת, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך בריצת רגליים להרע.
The ways we have wronged you through our thoughtlessness, and harm we have caused in your world through impulsive acts of malice.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בחוזק יד, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים.
The ways we have wronged you by abusing our power, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך בקשיות עורף.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through inflexibility and stubbornness.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בכחש ובכזב, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך בקלות ראש.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world by making light of serious matters.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בשיח שפתותינו, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין.
The ways we have wronged you in our routine conversations, and the harm we have caused in your world through envy.
ויהיה לכולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו וחלנו, כפר לנו.
For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, and lead us to atonement.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בגלוי ובסתר, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by hating without cause.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בפרי קטון, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך במאכל ובמשתה.
The ways we have wronged you by losing self-control, and the harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי העיות, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב.
The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and the harm we have caused in your world by hardening our hearts.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בנשך ובמדוי ובמרבית, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך במסע ובמתן.
The ways we have wronged you through greed and exploitation, and the harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בחרחור הלב, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך ברכילות.
The ways we have wronged you through our innermost thoughts, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
הליכת שחטאנו לפניך בחפת שוחד, והליכת שחטאנו לפניך בחילול השם.
The ways we have wronged you by offering or accepting bribes, and harm we have caused in your world by profaning your name in public.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
For all these failures of judgment and will,
God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, and lead us to atonement.
seated together. And we take a moment for private meditation on pages 308 and 309, reflecting on those things that our traditional prayers may have missed, those other confessions you want to make in your own private way. Having taken some time to think of those things that we've done wrong, this holiday also opens the door, when we take account of ourselves, to celebrate what we've done right in our lives. And so we turn to page 313, and we read responsively.
Let us affirm the good we have done. Let us acknowledge our acts of healing and repair.
For the good we have done by acting with self-restraint and control.
For the good we have done through acts of generosity and compassion.
For the good we have done by offering children our love and support.
For the good we have done by honoring our parents with care and respect.
For the good we have done through acts of friendship and hospitality.
For the good we have done through acts of forgiveness and reconciliation.
For the good we have done by keeping promises and honoring commitments.
For the good we have done through the work of our hands and by serving others.
For the good we have done by caring for the earth and sustaining its creatures.
For the good we have done by housing the homeless, feeding the hungry, and welcoming the stranger.
For the good we have done by acting with integrity and honesty.
For the good we have done through thoughtful and encouraging words.
For the good we have done by caring for our health and that of our loved ones.
For the good we have done by strengthening our Jewish community.
For the good we have done through acts of civic engagement and tikkun olam.
All these have brought light and healing into the world. May these acts inspire us to renew our efforts in the year to come.
Gmar Chatima Tova. The The Talmud tells a story about two rabbis, Shmuel and his student Yehuda, who are sitting in judgment one day in an ancient court. Suddenly, in walks in a woman haggard and angry. A few days ago, an injustice had been committed against her. She pleads to Shmuel to do something, but he doesn't act. She turns around and she leaves defeated. Soon after, Yehuda turns to his teacher Shmuel and he questions him. Didn't we learn in the book of Proverbs, quote, "Whoever stops his ears at the cry of the poor, he shall cry himself, but shall not be heard"? So knowing that God wants you to act on behalf of the downtrodden, why would you remain silent in the face of this woman's cry? Looking at him, Shmuel responds, "You're right. One day I might be held accountable for my inaction, but my punishment will be light, because I don't have the power to change things for her. Rather, the real leader, the one with the real power, is Mar Ukba, who sits at the head of the court, and he is responsible for the matter that she seeks. When someone is held accountable, it's going to be him." This past year, I've often felt like Shmuel, looking into the face of real suffering with little agency to fix it. I want to change the world. I want to heal its brokenness. I want to bind its wounds. But I know that my authority and my influence are limited. I have little power to change the biggest problems around me. Pay attention to even a modicum of the events around us, and we're hit with a barrage of needs and priorities that call out for our attention. Children and parents separated from one another at the border. Children locked away in detention centers without adequate care and space, and many forced to sleep on concrete floors or wooden benches, some with no soap, toothpaste, or blankets. And like Shmuel, I know that I share some of that burden, a part of that responsibility for their treatment. But like him, I am powerless to stop it. Likewise, I see environmental degradation everywhere. Larger storms, rising seas, mass extinctions have all become commonplace, and they're becoming more. And I know one day, my son Lev and his children will approach me, and they will ask me why I didn't do more. And in shame, I will hold up my hands, and I will say, I wish I could have, but I did not have the power. The endless list of tasks around us often seem too much. Mass incarceration, poverty, homelessness, inadequate health care, hunger, racism, gun violence, lack of access to mental health resources. The list goes on and on and on. And faced with these hurdles, it is not uncommon to feel despair. How can we hold out hope for an end to the world's ills when we lack the agency to change them? Judaism has a word for how I feel: kotzer ruach, a term that appears in the book of Exodus when discussing the way that the Israelites feel while they are in Egypt. Reflecting on the fact that kotzer ruach could mean shortness of spirit or shortness of wind, Rashi explains that to be kotzer ruach means to be so distressed that we can barely catch our breath, as if the wind can only come in short gasps and not long, deep breaths. Kotzer ruach is the feeling of drowning, which is exactly how I feel every time I turn on the television, open a newspaper, or log on to Facebook. The world is broken, and I don't have the vehicle to fix it. We are sinking without a life raft, and there seems to be nothing we can grab. It's times like this that I turn to one of my favorite teachings in the whole of the Jewish canon, a teaching that our President Ken Cohen quoted last night. Rabbi Tarfon said, "The day is short and the work is plentiful. Lo alecha hamlaha ligmor v'lo ata ben chorin lehivatel mimena." It is not your job to finish the task, nor are you free to desist from it. And thus, in one phrase, Tarfon provides a subtle rebuke to Shmuel and to me and to every single one of us paralyzed by the task at hand. Reflecting on this famous teaching, Rabbi Yitz Greenberg explains, quote, Rabbi Tarfon's metaphor is that God put us on this earth with a mission. There is more to do than there are hours in the day. People often don't push themselves. They settle for mediocre performance. Yet God asks us urgently to step up. Indeed, just because we cannot catch our breath, that doesn't mean that we should stop breathing altogether. Rabbi Tarfon understands that change happens slowly. But each of us have a responsibility to work toward that change and to seek to make this world better. We have to leave our mark, even if the main body of the picture looks unchanged from moment to moment. I imagine that Rabbi Tarfon learned this truth from his teacher, Rabbi Akiva, who was one of the greatest sages in Jewish history. Although Akiva was a hero in his time, he actually didn't start out like that. Beginning his studies later in life, he was sure that he would never achieve the great learning that would make him into a great rabbi. But one day, at an older age, he was walking by a river, and he noticed that over time, water had bored a hole in the rock. Realizing that one drop of water could do nothing, but a steady stream over many years could make a huge impact, he started to study, little by little, until one day he reached a tipping point. It seemed to an outsider who was not involved in Akiva's day-to-day that overnight change had happened. Over a few years, he was transformed from an illiterate pauper to a great sage. But in truth, it was because of the slow, deliberate accumulation of knowledge inspired by watching that water flow over the rock that we know his name. Akiva's story is mirrored in the work of many of our greatest social movements. Marriage equality surely has its heroes. But in truth, the reason that we have it, the reason that we went from an overwhelming majority of Americans opposing gay marriage in the 1980s to a majority of Americans embracing it today, is actually not because of those heroes. It's instead because of small acts that subtly and narrowly moved the ball until our country reached a tipping point. What did it was that millions of Americans came out of the closet. And suddenly, marriage equality wasn't some abstract ideal. It impacted your son or your daughter, your neighbor or your friend, your coworker or your cousin. It was the bravery of individuals who had little agency outside of their own homes, many of whom faced tremendous pain while doing it, that helped us reach a tipping point, a paradigm shift in our country. They were the water dripping over the impenetrable rocks of hatred and animosity around them. Both of these stories teach us that small actions do matter. And in the absence of the power to change the largest systems and the most insurmountable problems, the best way to deal with potential despair is to double down on the most local of change. There's a powerful teaching in our Talmud about each person's need to do what they can. Everyone who can protest the sin of his household and does not is held responsible for the people of his household. For the people of his city, he is held responsible for the people of his city. For the whole world, he is responsible for the whole world. In a way, I've always wished that this text moved in the opposite order. Moving from one's household to city, it climaxes in us changing the world. But most of us don't have that power. Instead, read backwards, it teaches us to keep looking smaller until we can find an impact that we can make. And if you look around here in Bloomfield, in Essex County, in New Jersey, there's a lot of need that calls out for each of our hands. Take hunger, for example. Essex County has the highest rate of food insecurity in all of New Jersey, with about 18% of the population lacking enough to eat. This number includes, by the way, 16.8% of all children. There are lots of answers to how to deal with this staggeringly high number, from political to economic solutions. But even without those steps, we can still zero in on the smaller specific actions that can change lives today. In a given month, Temple Ner Tamid has a host of opportunities to make an impact on hunger. We run a monthly soup kitchen called Bloomfield Cafe, which is housed in the basement of Park Methodist Church in Bloomfield. And there are dozens of people that come every month, many of them looking for their one hot meal that they will have that day. Likewise, each month we have volunteers who stand outside of ShopRite, passing out flyers to those who enter and asking them, when they leave, to bring them an extra can of soup or a box of cereal on their way out the door. Through this effort, each year, we collect thousands of pounds of food to be donated to the Human Needs Food Pantry. Multiple times a year, we also run a respite shelter for homeless families through the Interfaith Hospitality Network that includes opportunities to cook, play with children, and chaperone overnight. Each of these projects gives us an outlet to do good. In a world where we often feel like we lack power, they give us a vehicle to work toward change. But local small change doesn't need to come in just acts of direct service. We may not personally have the authority and power to impact policies at the border or to be able to solve millions of undocumented individuals in our country's problems. But every one of us can make the lives better for those undocumented immigrants we see every day in the supermarket, on the streets, and in the parks that we frequent. Locally, I've been part of a coalition of clergy who have been meeting with Essex County freeholders and administrators in an effort to improve procedures and conditions at the Essex County Correctional Facility. As criminal justice reform has shrunk the prison population, Essex County has been filling beds with immigrant detainees, and it's receiving federal grants of up to $30 to $40 million to do so. At first, our coalition thought that we could change this. But quickly as we explored this issue, we realized that we didn't actually have the agency to do much with the contract. There was too much at stake for the county to change. So we thought smaller, more local, more practical. Now the asks are more finite. Increase funding to make sure that every detainee has legal representation. Make sure there's an independent advisory board made up of stakeholders and members of nonprofits like the ACLU to hold the prison accountable if there are safety infractions. Ask the prison to appoint an independent person who detainees can go to with complaints about their conditions so they don't have to approach the warden directly with them. Each of these actions may seem minor, but they each move the needle in their own way. And as we've already talked about, in the absence of movement, think smaller. I've been inspired by countless lay leaders at Temple Ner Tamid who do just this. As many of you know, we've been working this past year with another broad coalition of religious groups on a bill that would give driver's licenses to undocumented immigrants in New Jersey. Living in Jersey, each of us know how important it is to have access to a car, to go grocery shopping, to take our kids to the doctor, to get to work. Together, this broad coalition has been pushing our elected officials to pass this bill on moral grounds. Easy access to food or health care are basic rights that should be afforded to all. I went into this year feeling this was going to be an easy win. But New Jersey politics being what they are, the bill hasn't moved. Yet even without action, our community has had some wins. We had the governor on our bima just the other day, and we got him on record as supporting the bill. We met with our local Senator Nia Gill, and we began engaging her in her discomfort with aspects of the legislation, connecting her with nonprofits on the ground who have an ear to those who might fix those specific claims. We've published op-eds, and we currently have a clergy letter written in part by our member Trish Perlmutter, that is getting signatures around the state. Sometimes working toward good changes the world. Sometimes it changes our city, sometimes our family, but even the smallest changes will change us. Even at times when our acts are so small that we wonder if we are wasting our time, they can still sharpen our character. I am different because of my justice work this year, even if I can't see the fruits of that labor. When we feed one person, we get in the habit of thinking about hunger. When we house one family, we get in the habit of thinking about homelessness. When we publish one op-ed, meet with one senator, sign one letter, hold one forum, we become a people who care more and more day after day about the ills of the world. As the 18th century rabbi and philosopher Moshe Chaim Luzzatto said, just as enthusiasm can result from an inner burning, so can it create one too. That is, one who perceives a quickening of his outer movements in the performance of a mitzvah conditions himself to experience a flaming inner movement through which longing and desire will continually grow. If, however, he's sluggish in the movement of his limbs, the movement of his spirit will die down and become extinguished. Experience testifies to this. In other words, the more that we get going, the more we force ourselves to act, even toward the smallest of changes, the more we will condition ourselves to keep acting, to keep yearning to make a difference. And that's why Maimonides wrote in the 12th century that if we have the ability to give $100 to one person or $1 to 100, we should choose the latter option. Although $100 may make a real difference to someone in the short term, after 100 distinct acts of good, we are transformed into someone who perpetually gives back. Then our future giving, our future engagement, will far exceed that one-time larger bequest. But lack of agency is only one reason that we don't act. Even as we think smaller, one of the greatest challenges that we face when we seek to do good in the world is the sheer number of things that are calling out to us for our attention. With all the need around us, how do we not become crippled by choice? To that I would say, do not be afraid to choose. Our Talmud once again teaches, where there are two boats traveling on the river and they encounter each other, if both of them attempt to pass, both of them sink, as the river is not wide enough for both of them to pass. If they pass one after the other, then both will pass. And similarly, where two camels who were ascending the ascent of Rhone, where there is a narrow, steep path, encounter each other. If both attempt to ascend, both of them will fall. If they ascend one after the other, both of them will ascend. What these metaphors teach us is that we should let an issue, just one, rise to the top of each of our priorities. Listen to the chorus of need, and instead of getting lost in the cacophony, find a single voice singing a single song. And even though you might feel guilty about letting others go, know that you have every right to. Jewish law tells us, ha'osek b'mitzvah pator b'mitzvah. One who is involved in an act of mitzvah, they are exempt from other mitzvot. One of the things that makes Judaism countercultural is that it asks things of us. To be Jewish means to engage your hands in healing the brokenness around you, even if you don't want to. I'm not going to presuppose that everything that we do at TNT is going to speak to everyone here. But if it doesn't, find your own way to give back. And if it does, I want to make it easy for you to get involved. For this reason, we're going to send an email out after Yom Kippur to help you as you look for ways to make a difference through existing programs at TNT. Often the sheer volume of what we do can feel hard to navigate when you're on our website. I mean, I spoke tonight about 3 distinct programs that all deal with feeding the hungry. What I hope you will do is to choose something, just one thing, that you're going to do next year. And if you want to do it in partnership with us, then add your name to an existing initiative, some of which I mentioned, and some of which, like our interreligious dialogue group or taking care of the sick and bereaved in our community, through our Chesed committee, I didn't yet. And then over the course of the coming weeks, someone will be in touch with you about how you might get involved in that initiative. Every one of us has power. Every one of us has control. Every one of us has agency. This year, find a way to match that power with those who need it most. Hope conquers despair when we can see a path forward. You own that path. You are that path. And even if you can't get to the end, the fact that you tread on the path matters. There's a teaching often told during the High Holy Days about a king who has a son who lives far away. He knows that he cannot get home, and he's afraid to leave for that reason. Start walking, says his father, and I will too. And when you grow too tired, I will meet you at that point, and I will carry you the rest of the way home. So I say to you, start walking, even those few steps, and have faith that even in your smallest acts of love, you will make it to see the binding up of this broken world. Gemar Chatzima Tova.
When I was young, I wanted to change the world. When I was young, I wanted to change the world, but I found it was difficult to change the world, so I tried to change my country instead. When I found I couldn't change my country, then I began to change for good. When I was young, I wanted to be the change. So this time I focused my attention on my community, on my people. But then I discovered that I couldn't change them. And so I changed again. When I was young, I tried to change the world. Then my country, then my family. Now I am older still, and I realize the only thing that I can change is me. Is me. I've come to know that if I could have made the change. My family could have joined me, and together change community, and in turn change the country, and we could all indeed have changed the
One of the funny things about the way that our services run on Yom Kippur morning is the fact that our tradition understands the service to be continual. And even though we're going to be taking a break in a moment, it kind of bleeds one right into the other. And so a few announcements, and then we're going to close today with a song. So I want to call Ken Cohen back up because we just want to tell you a few things going on both with our schedule this week and in future weeks. And so for the remainder of this holiday, following services at 2 p.m. in the library, Rick Abrams is going to be leading a text study on themes of the High Holy Days, and our Tot service is going to be in here. And then Yisker is going to be at 3 p.m. And following Yisker, our memorial service, we then have our Mincha Ne'ilah service. We're doing something new in Mincha that we've never done before. It's customary to read in traditional synagogues Leviticus chapter 18, which includes the line, if one man lies with another man as he lies with a woman, it's an abomination. Now, most Reform and conservative synagogues don't read, for obvious reasons, that line, and don't read that chapter, and instead read chapter 19, which is love your neighbor as yourself and the laws of charity and taking care of the poor. This year, we're going to, at the behest actually of a group of 10th graders who I was studying with last year, we are going to read that line, but we're going to treat it and discuss it. And we have a panel of the LGBTQ members of our congregation who are going to respond in their own voices to what exactly that means, and we'll read the traditional portion. And so then we move from there into our Avodah service, which is a creative rendering of the sacrifices in the temple, moving into our martyrology, and then to our Ne'ilah. For the rest of the High Holy Days, we have Sukkot coming up. The High Holidays extend past Yom Kippur. And so in addition to our normal services, Monday, October 14th at 10 a.m. and Monday, October 21st at 8:30 a.m., which are for the holiday, two important bookends to that holiday. The first is that our newest learners become consecrated, and usually that happens on the holiday of Simchat Torah. Thank you. I haven't eaten this morning. And instead, actually, and I'll tell you why in a second, we're going to be moving that to our first day of Sukkot. So come, celebrate our newest learners, enjoy a dairy potluck dinner, and in addition to that, we've got a number of 20-somethings who are musicians who have graduated from our community and are coming back to provide the entertainment that night. So it's going to be really wonderful, multiple movements of the night for families, for everyone, and definitely check that out. And then in addition to that, Simchat Torah will actually be with all of the other communities in the wider Montclair, Bloomfield area. And the reason why is because we have a permit to close down Church Street. And I made this joke last night, but we are turning Montclair into the Upper West Side as we dance with the Torahs in the streets. And so lots of communities coming together. It's going to be wonderful, and we hope that you'll join us at 7 p.m. So a few other things happening at our congregation. I'll just invite Ken up to just say a few announcements.
Yeah, as you can tell, there are a lot of things happening at Temple Ner Tamid, and I invite you and encourage you to read the Igeret, which is the weekly e-newsletter, to keep current on what is available to you at Temple Ner Tamid. In addition, we send out emails, and we do recognize that people's email inboxes are bombarded and that it's easy to lose things in the haze of that bombardment. And so what we have done is to really curate the amount of emails that are sent with only those announcements that really are important and that are immediate. So when you see emails that come from Temple Ner Tamid, it may be please open it. It may be something that is of great interest to you. It may be something that's not, in which case you could just delete it. Read the subject line, and if it's interesting, please read on. There are a couple of announcements in particular that I do want to make. It would be too long if we include, going forward for too long. But we need some help tomorrow at 10 a.m. Fred Pressman, who is Vice President for Tikkun Olam, has asked that if you are available and can come to help, we need help unloading the truck that has all the bags of food. So that will be 10 a.m. tomorrow at the Human Needs Food Pantry, which is 9 Label Street. That is right next to the back of the parking lot at Egan's. Second, Josh Katz, who's Vice President for Religious Living, has asked that I invite you, if you are able to come, to help build the sukkah, which will be tomorrow here at 4 p.m. If you have a power screwdriver, please bring it. If you're able to actually use it, even better. I'm out. I walk through Home Depot, it's like, Jews in space. And if you have a ladder, please bring that as well, because obviously we could use that to help build the sukkah. The last announcement that I want to make about a particular event is important because it really fits right in with one of the goals that we have set for ourselves at Temple Ner Tamid over the past year, which is to be present in the lives of all of our members, even for those things that are not particularly or obviously Jewish. So this is something that's really important and affects a lot of people in this room. If you are reaching that magical age of 65, if you are confused by your Medicare options, even if you are already on Medicare, but may be surprised by unexpected copays at the doctor this year, and if you're really not sure if the plan you're on is best for you, to get the answers to these questions and more, please join our members Lanny Katz and Priscilla Stein, who are trained Medicare counselors, for a presentation on Medicare. Learn to understand the different parts of Medicare and how to get the best value for your money. This session is helpful for those already enrolled in Medicare, as well as those who are new to it or who will become new to it over the next year. That meeting is Sunday, October 27th, here at the Temple at 3 p.m. As I looked around today, last night, and during the high holidays, I see that there are a number of people who are guests of Temple Ner Tamid members, as well as a number of people who have recently moved into one of the towns that our congregation serves. And so to each of you, I say welcome. If you are a guest who's here just for the high holidays, I hope that you feel uplifted by the experience. If you are someone who is new to town and looking for a place to call your Jewish home, I want to remind you, as the rest of us know, that the mission of Temple Ner Tamid is to inspire our community, our members, to make our community more curious, connected, and just. If you feel that you would like to become more connected with Temple Ner Tamid, after the service today or at any time over the course of the next few weeks, please feel free to reach out to me by phone, by email, or in person, or our Vice President of Membership, Diane Lavender, who's seated here. She'll raise her hand so you could see. And of course, you could talk to our Executive Director, Michelle Malkin, or the Rabbi or Cantor. And then lastly, just to flex the appreciation and gratitude muscles that I talked about last night, I want to say thank you to the choir who have really infused spirit and beauty into these services. So thank you. And I also want to thank the amazing Ed Ahlstrom, not just for the beautiful work he does on the high holidays, but all during the course of the year, the way he provides this space and fills this space with beautiful music. And last, because I think they do all the leading and really maybe don't get the thank you, is I want to really acknowledge and thank Rabbi Katz and Cantor Greenberg, not just for the beautiful services these high holidays, but for the leadership they provide during the course of the entire year. And I was thinking about what is it about that leadership? What can I say? How do I put it into words? I can only speak for myself, but I think this is it. And this is not just it, but I really do think it captures it. that they both have taken this notion of Judaism and all that is included within that: spirituality, prayer, study, tikkun olam. And last night, the very interesting and provocative talk about how we struggle with the concept of God. And they have opened the door and made all of that accessible to us. And for that, I am deeply appreciative, and I just wanted to say thank you. So once again, Gemar Chatima Tova, may we all be blessed this year with the wisdom, the courage, and the strength to make this year a good year.
So we conclude today, page 250. We've just done a lot of praying, and so we ask God that the words of our mouth and the prayers of our heart be acceptable. Page 250.
Adonai Tzuri v'Goali. Join us. Adonai, Adonai Tzuri. Adonai, Adonai Tzuri. Adonai Tzuri v'Goali. Adonai Tzuri v'Goali. Adonai Tzuri v'Goali. Adonai Tzuri v'Goali.
Gemar Chatima Tova.